Hi, I'm Brandy. This is Hound Dog Hollow, and today I'm going to be doing a brief video on my daily practice. This is by no means, comprehensive because, to be frank, my daily practice does vary, by season, by what I'm doing, by just a large variety of things, what I'm working on, so on and so forth. So this is just going to be pretty brief. I intend to dive into this more thoroughly in the future, but I wanted to give a brief overview of what things that I do the most consistently, the most days of the month or the year. And in the future, I would like to do a deeper dive as to why and why I think it's important and so on and so forth. So basically, this is my Book of Shadow. This is a newer one because I go through them probably quarterly, depending on how much I'm doing. And what the probably number one thing that I do every single day is write in it. And I did miss some days this weekend, but it was some, different kind of weekend. So, for example, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll put in the date, so the day of the week, the date, the sun sign, which is going to be obviously still in Taurus. And so at the beginning of my Book of Shadows, I have kind of arranged like a bullet journal, except for I wanted to use up these journals before I went to my lectures. So in the beginning, just for reference, I have my natal chart, my husband's and my son's, and I find that super helpful. And then I also have preloaded in the front the planetary movements for basically approximately 6 months, 5 to 6 months. And so I will check, and tomorrow morning will be the 14th. So tomorrow I know that Jupiter is going to be retrograde in tomorrow Jupiter's going to go retrograde. So these have already happened. As they happen, I check them off. And then so when I'm filling in, so like today I put Sun in Taurus. It was a waning gibbous in Aquarius. So the next page is the lunar movements in my area. The new moons are purple, the full moons are blue, and then the quarter days are green. So that's really helpful for me. And then we are right. Tomorrow will be the 14th, and so it's going to be a last quarter in Pisces. And I will write that down. So usually it'll say Sun in Taurus. It'll be last quarter moon in Pisces. Mercury will still be in Gemini. Venus will be in Gemini. Mars will be in Pisces. Jupiter will be retrograde in Capricorn. Saturn will be retrograde in Aquarius. Uranus is Taurus. Neptune is Pisces. And Pluto will retrograde in Capricorn. So I like to know what's retrograde and what different signs are in what planets to kind of keep me conscious and aware of different energies of the day. So then the next segment, so that would be this segment here. So I can go ahead and pre-fill. So tomorrow's going to be Thursday, May 14th, 2020. I like to number my pages as well. And I would do, obviously, Sun and Taurus. Last quarter in Pisces. And then I like to list all my yes. Ooh, Venus is retrograde. Ooh, no, we got a lot of planets retrograde. So Mercury is not, Venus is, Mars is not, but it just moved into Pisces. Jupiter is not yet. Oh, dang, Jupiter is retrograde. God bless it. It's retrograde season. So Saturn is retrograde. Uranus is not retrograde yet, but it will be on in August 15th, so it's got a ways to go. Neptune is Pisces, and Pluto is retrograde. So I use the little symbols. So this is going to be tomorrow. So it's good for me to know that Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are retrograde all at the same time. The generational planets, not so important, but Jupiter's kind of like the great benefic. So when it's retrograde, it's not, I mean, in my opinion, it's not that great. And Venus retrograde can kind of cause relationship problems. Or I should say that you have to be consciously aware of what your mouth is doing, at least in my case. So there is that. Then the next thing I do, and of course I can't do this in advance, is I write down my dreams. So this will come out first thing when I get up, and usually by candlelight, because I try not to like really wake up my mind. But if I can't write by candlelight, sometimes I do it by my phone if I just want to get going. I'll write down my dreams as much as possible. And I want to talk about each of these individual things in depth in the future, because dream work, divination, it's a massive part of, in my opinion, magic and messages from your ancestors and divination and sorting out all of the junk. It happens while you're sleeping in your mind. So super, 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 super important for me. Then the next thing I do, and granted, this part happens on a good day because I have fallen out of this habit. I'm trying to rejuvenate it again. I did it for many years in a row consistently, but it's been harder with my schooling because I always have my computer on my desk and I don't have a clear space like I used to. But I have my lunar decks, and this one's a new deck, and I will pull the cards for that day. So tomorrow is going to be the last quarter in Pisces, so I would look for those cards. And usually I kind of, when I'm doing this really regularly, I kind of keep this deck committed to that, and so they're kind of in order that way, so I can just zoom through in the morning. It's something, so here we go, last quarter. It's something that I'm working on because I really feel like it gives me a very good connection to the energy of the moon. And like I've said before, I live my life by the moon, so that's really important to me. And I will show some more about that in the future. This is going to be more of an overview, and I want to really dive into these concepts soon. So most days will just be 3 cards. Some days will be more. So this is the card for the lunar cycle. So this is the flower moon lunar cycle. And then it is also a last quarter. And then this is the sign. And so I would briefly just make a note of these 3 cards. And it's been a while, so I would probably look up the meanings. But usually I know them pretty much by heart, or at least a few keywords that I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to work on this, that, and the other. So like for flower moon, celebrate your achievements, decorate your altar with flowers, explore your sexuality, find your creative flow, focus on your sacral chakra. And then I would go to Pisces, the psychic. Tender-hearted Pisces is the psychic of the zodiac. So basically, when the moon is waning in Pisces, protect psychic boundaries, allow space to dream. So that's a good message for the day. And then, of course, we've got the last quarter, which is release. Release what no longer serves you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Donate items that no longer give you joy. Release and honor the past. Create a releasing ceremony. Find lessons in your hurts. Stay grateful. So what I really like about this exercise is that it puts me in the framework for the day, so that I can face the day knowing what the lunar energies are and kind of try to make the most of any situation that comes my way. At the end of the day, I sometimes like to revisit and journal about it, particularly if it was like spot on. I really like to come back and journal about those synchronicities. But I feel like it's really a nice way for me to prime my brain to be looking for those messages. Same thing with this one. This one's usually 2 because I don't have the cards like that. It's a flower moon. And let me just find the... find the last quarter moon. Okay, so these are usually 2 cards. They could be 3 because they have the moon and the cycle. And then if it's like an eclipse or something, it'll have that energy as well. So basically blossoming, because it's still the flower moon. And this won't be for the whole cycle, so I won't have to write this every day. I'll know like this is the overarching theme. This one will change every day as we cycle through the lunar energy. So this one's last quarter moon, gratitude. So then I would look these 2 cards up and it would say, you know, be where you are and be thankful. There's always something to be grateful for no matter your suffering. Gratitude raises a lower vibration to a higher one. Do not allow yourself to be surrounded by too many negative people. Life is conspiring for you. So that's a really nice message. So paired with the other one, it's like release what doesn't serve you, be grateful for what you have, and just like really, this is like lean into that creativity is what I'm getting for tomorrow. Blossoming, don't give up. You have planned for this. Take no notice of what others think or say about you. Open and rise. Someone around you may be jealous of your success. Mark your victories. So that's this deck's message for the same day. They really, I think, complement each other, and for the most part they do. This one I'm newer with, so I just barely blessed this a few weeks ago, so I haven't really used them the way that I am planning. But obviously I would do a 3rd quarter moon and it would be a single card because it's not, they don't really have zodiac signs. It's only the major ones are for the new moons and the full moons. So this one's really beautiful. Adjustments are required. I'm only going to use that one, and when I'm doing it on my desk, I would probably line them all out together to kind of get the overall view. You might, if it's meaningful to you, and I don't know, I'll have to play with it because like I said, this is a newer deck to me and I haven't really gotten into the flow. I was in the flow of these really well, and it's something that I'm getting back into the movement of, but it's only been a few days since school's only been out for a few days. But I have done this for years and years in the past regularly. So let me see. You could also do waning moon. It's Pisces, so you could also do mutable moon. So those could be, you could have those 3 cards if you wanted to like get a more of this deck's opinion on the energy. So basically, adjustments are required. I am reevaluating the situation. Your life may be out of balance and this may be causing your issues. It may be time to hatch a whole new plan. Something new and exciting is around the corner. Trust may be required to move the situation forwards. So again, I feel like this really goes well. Like, look at what you have, be grateful. What doesn't serve you, let it go, and just lean into what's coming for you. So that would be my message. In the morning, I can usually get that done very quickly. And then I don't take all of these with me. So I finished this one. This one was great. I finished the whole thing though. So this one will probably go up on the shelf until my end of year review because I've already read it all. Technically, I've read this one. All of it is very good, but I have a little mark here, and it's got different things that I need to do on whatever given days. I haven't filled it out for this week, but I just have different things that I want to do. Usually it's about like tomorrow I want to do a last quarter release spell or whatever the case may be. So that one I do every day. I use it, now that I've read it, I use it as a planner, but for magical things basically only. This one I use with the quarters, or with the SBATs, and I've talked about this in my videos for that. This one I use with the Sabbats, and I've talked about that in my videos for that. So you've seen those before. I'm going to read this one soon. This one's more, I'm waiting for, probably this one will come after this one. And this one's the one I'm working through now. This one will be the one after the Herbal Almanac. So those I don't use every day. I look at them and the SBATs and kind of see what they're recommending in the future. But this one I use as a planner, and this one I use as a planner / journal. I have the day marked. I take it to work with me and I just make notes about like, what am I doing? What's my list of things to do today? What's the energy for the week? What crystals might I be doing? What specific things do I need to do on any given day of the month or of the cycle? I take these with me and I usually look at them at lunch. Because part of my daily practice has been to, you know, make a little, not like a plan or a study guide of what I'm going to do magically, so I can stick to it. And that might not sound like very magical or moving to some people, but for me, it's better to be practical and get something done and expand my growth, as opposed to just wait for something to happen and keep missing things. So planning is really important for me. The other part, this is probably the biggest part. This I have been doing consistently for months. The almanacs and reading every single day. I read and I make an entry in my book of shadow. I try to read at least one article and write about like, what was my thoughts? What did I learn? Take notes. Some of them I completely disagree, and I try to say like, okay, why am I disagreeing? Like, what exactly do I think is actually correct? And is this person incorrect, or are we just like, maybe they're not incorrect unless they're like saying something that's very offensive, or maybe it's just like in their tradition that's what they believe, and I'm not taking that with me. So I've been doing that kind of exercise, and it's been really, really deepening my my knowledge, and also kind of like my core values. It's helping me kind of map out what are my beliefs, because you're always growing and learning and evolving, and as you get older in this practice, in any practice, you flesh it out. It grows with me. So that also goes to work with me. I try to read at least one at lunch. So basically, where are the planets? What's my dreams? Where's the moon? What's it doing? And then notes for like, what have I learned? What do I think? Etc. 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 I believe that that's a major part of your spiritual growth, is continuously learning. And my Book of Shadows is basically a place where I put all this information down, not only to help me remember it, because I can also go back and look back at what I did, what I learned, and what I got from it, but also to help my practice in that, like, I feel like the more you come back to information, the better you synthesize it. So then I would say when I get home from work, I light the ofrenda. It's lit now. I make sure that the water is full. I make sure that there's a fresh snack. I get flowers every week from the farmer's market for the ofrenda. Nothing expensive, just $7. I mean, $7 is 2 coffees in a week or whatever, and you can pick them from your yard. I'm just saying, like, I want to show my beloved dead that I'm thinking of them, that I'm grateful for their sacrifices, and that I really appreciate every single wonderful thing in my life that directly comes from what they've given me. Fresh café from Mama. My husband usually fills the coffee. my son tries to eat the snacks and he gets in big trouble. Oh my God, stealing from the dead. Not okay. And then usually I will try to film something, and that's part of my practice. That's also learning, but sharing. I feel like when you are able to teach somebody else a concept, it means that you know the concept really well. So that's been really fun for me. Even when I do an unboxing, just like hearing this creator's ideas or what these different things in this box mean, that is still learning for me. The curation is learning. When I make content to share, when I do different deck walkthroughs, all of that I think is conducive to my learning as well. And I don't do working every day, but I usually do, and if I do, it's in the evening. I sometimes do, and if I do, it's in the evening. Sometimes before bed, I'll make an intention about what I would like to dream about, or a question or something that I would like answered. And you know, depending on the day, I might water my plants and garden. So I water my plants every day except for this week it's raining. And that is part of what I consider the devotional work of my craft, because I planted those things with intention. And part of growing that magic is doing the work, doing the devotional work. That's what doing the ofrenda and keeping it up, that's the devotional work. Taking care of my garden, that's the devotional work. Taking care of my property and stewardship of my land and of my animals, that's the devotional work. That is like where you put the metal to the pavement, the rubber to the pavement, not the metal, the rubber to the pavement. That's where it really like put your money where your mouth is. Are you going to live these ideals that you talk about? And then, so what I mean by devotional is like your daily practice is not just what you're learning and what you're crafting, but like what are you doing to back up your beliefs? And so for me, it's caring for our land, caring for our plants, caring for our animals, caring for each other. I try to tell my son I love him every day. That's not necessarily spiritual, but really, like, I mean, this is going to get really esoteric, but I feel like one of the most profound reflection of the goddess in me is motherhood. The fact that my husband and I brought a soul into being on this plane is a huge responsibility. And one of my favorite faces of the goddess is the mother. And so being a mom and caring for others and doing that compassionate, service-oriented work that I also do is all part of my spiritual practice. It's giving back. It's spreading good in a world that doesn't have enough of it. And it's just, you know, it's part of my spirit's, my person's journey. And acknowledging that and recognizing that and journaling about that and reflecting on that is very important to your spiritual growth. And so your journey might be different, and your daily practice or your devotional work will be different. But like, if you do only one thing, read and learn. But if you're going to do multiple things, I would say, like, find something to devote yourself to express your divinity and to honor the divinity in other things. One of my favorite things is to really like notice when I pull up the plants, the trees, my animals, my son, my garden, like just take that in, because that is the product of hard work and thousands of loves and generations upon generations of working towards this future for the progeny, for our line. And so it really makes me feel big and small and grateful and humbled all at the same time. So like, my roses are in bloom, my garden is growing, my kid is so happy to see me, I have a beautiful home. Like, it's really my favorite thing is coming home and seeing that tableau. And then I go straight to my ofrenda and I light it, because I'm just like, oh, thank you, thank you. You're the product of 1,000 loves, and it feels so true at that moment. Anyway, I got really weird and personal there. These are all concepts that I want to talk about in more depth in the future. I'd like to do a monthly daily practice thing where I focus on a different thing that one might do to deepen their connection with spirit, their spiritual knowledge, etc., and so on and so forth. But this is a start. So please, guys, like, because that helps my algorithm. And comment. I want to hear, like, what is your daily practice? What do you think of my daily practice? I'm going to warn you in advance. It's not going to change a damn thing about my daily practice. But if you have ideas, I'm always interested in hearing that. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.